Today I wanted to share a little bit how I started my Etsy business. I sell stickers and prints at the moment. I am a complete beginner. I started in January of this year, so I'm making this video in hopes that it'll help any other beginner artists who have just been thinking maybe they also want to start a business or start selling their art in some form. I'll be focusing mostly on my experience with Etsy and how I make stickers, all of that jargon. So if that interests you and you think you could learn something from this video, consider sticking around and give the video a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video or learn anything from me. So the first step is believing in yourself. This sounds stupid, but you genuinely need to believe in yourself if you want to start a business. Like, be delusional about it, because if you don't think you can open a shop, or you tell yourself you're not ready yet, or you'll just start when you have X amount of followers, you won't end up starting, and you're just going to keep procrastinating it, and it'll never be the right time. So unless you are genuinely in debt or your current living situation does not allow for you to open a shop, then maybe be a bit more realistic. But in general, you gotta believe in yourself, otherwise you'll find a way to convince yourself that you can't open a shop. So, okay, the second step is to figure out what you want to sell. Ask yourself who your current audience is if you have a social media account as an artist. If not, that would be the next step, whether that's on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it may be. You don't necessarily have to start a social media account if you're like 100% against it, but the way that you're gonna make sales is by finding people that wanna buy your art because they like you and they like your personality or whatever it may be, or they like a similar fandom to you and you're selling fandom art. That's what I'm currently doing. I just wanted to come on here and say I know technically you can't be selling copyrighted art, but I have not been caught yet. There are plenty of other artists on Etsy who do the same thing, and it's a pretty gray area. So if I get caught, that sucks, but I guess what I would just say is I don't recommend selling fan art unless that's absolutely what you want to do. Shh, no one needs to know. If you already have a social media account, then great, you're good for this step. Ask yourself who your current audience is and what kinds of art related products they would want to buy, whether that's like stickers or, you know, maybe you make tutorials on how to draw things, and you could make like a digital product of like a book that has all these different tutorials in it. Whatever suits your current audience the best. You also want to consider what you are actually interested in making, otherwise you're not going to feel motivated to make products. So for me, that ended up being stickers and prints. I found that was the simplest way to just get started, because stickers are relatively easy to make and so are prints. And with the current art that I was making, I'm making Baldur's Gate 3, and I've made a few anime related artworks that I've turned into stickers. Just find something that you think you would be interested in selling and that your audience would be interested in buying. So the third step is to ask yourself where you want to sell from. For me personally, I found it easiest to open an Etsy shop as a beginner, because Etsy handles the more challenging parts of owning a business, such as taxes, designing a website, etc. So I will be mainly focusing on the Etsy perspective of things in this video. You could also make your own website. I can't speak from my personal experience on that, so you might have to do a little bit of research elsewhere if that's what you're interested in doing, but I would recommend Etsy. So far, it's been a positive experience. The only thing is there are a lot of fees. So when you're making your prices, you really need to take that into consideration if you actually want to make profit. The fourth step is designing products. The way that I went about this is literally just sketching out ideas in my sketchbook. I started by writing a list of different animes that I enjoy watching and video games that I like playing, anything that I'm interested in and that I think I could make good products in relation to. And then once I had that list, I looked at, okay, well, what am I most interested in starting with? So that ended up being Baldur's Gate 3, and I started sketching out things, and just based on my interests, so that's how I kind of found ways to turn my drawings into products. You could be more specific and intentional about your sticker designs and actually actively drawing out designs meant to be stickers, or you could go how I did it and just turn your artwork into a sticker and a print. One thing you want to keep in mind when you're designing your products is to use bright enough colors that they'll print correctly. Also want the lines, if you do line art, I don't personally do a line art.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
But you just want everything to be well defined, and it's not even necessarily like not too detailed, because a lot of my stickers are actually like semi-realistic art style, you could say. But just be mindful of the fact that you will be printing this at like a quarter of the size of what you're seeing on your screen. So just, this is the creative step. Just get your creative juices in the brain flowing. Just brainstorm different ideas that you think you would be interested in creating and that you think that your audience would be interested in buying. All right, so the fifth step is, how are you actually going to create these products? If you can't afford a printer, there are services such as Printful or Redbubble, where you just design the product and give them the instructions on how to make said product, and then they are responsible for all the manufacturing and shipping out of said item. I personally wanted to have full control over the manufacturing of all of my products, so I bought a printer. And with that being said, I don't think I am educated enough on those services to speak on them, but from what I've seen, I think they are good options for beginner sellers. If you see yourself continuing on owning this business for the long run, it might be a good investment to start out with a printer, because then you are learning the basics of all the manufacturing and stuff, and it won't be like this drastic switch when you are finally like, okay, I want to get a printer now, but it's completely up to you. Okay, the sixth step is to design your website. You need a brand. Start by creating a name, thinking of a logo design and brand colors. I just used Canva to design the banner for my Etsy shop. And you could also come up with a slogan if you feel like being fancy. I just personally just made my shop name Art by Madeline, which is my social media name, and wrote that I sell stickers and prints, so any potential customers find it easy to understand what it is that I am selling. I recommend Canva for this step. It's the easiest in my experience to use, and Etsy is, I'm not going to get too much into the actual going through of designing an Etsy profile. Essentially, you just need to fill out all the basic things that they prompt you to fill out, such as the banner, your profile photo, your shop name, what you're selling, your description. And I recommend filling out your about section, because that gives your customers more of a reference of who you are and just more of a personal connection, if that makes sense. And I recommend not opening your Etsy until you have at least 5 products that you can list, because that way, 5 to 10, I'd say. So that way when a customer comes to your page, it's not completely empty. Okay, so the 7th step is to create your products. The first step for me in creating the products is, as we mentioned earlier, doing the sketch and so on. Once you have a finished drawing that you're ready to turn into a sticker, let's say. If you are going the route of using a printer, that's what I'm about to be explaining, but you can skip to this timestamp if you are not going to find this information helpful. So, the printer that I use is a Canon Pixma IX6820. Works pretty well. So I print out onto using my sticker paper, I put that in there, and then I let that sit for about 15 to 30 minutes just to make sure that the ink is completely dry. And once that is done, then I laminate it using I have different types of laminate. I have a holographic one, a matte one, and a glossy one. I don't think I will ever purchase the matte one ever again because it's ugly. And it kind of makes the design look a little bit foggy and faded, which I don't like at all. So in the future, I will only be using the glossy and holographic ones. So once that's done, then I hand cut it out. I had a, what is it called? A Cricut at one point. It was completely broken, so I just returned it and it sucked. So I don't recommend Cricut. For anyone who's looking to get a cutting machine, don't get Cricut. I mean, there isn't much to it, so for me, that's all I do. And then I store it in this little storage thingy that I have to keep all my products organized. All right, I know, I'm sorry, that wasn't the most in-depth explanation ever, but I didn't want to take up this entire video explaining my sticker making process. So if you would be interested in seeing that, I could make a separate video on that topic. So just let me know in the comments. So the 8th step is taking product photos. Now, honestly, for me, I just use construction paper. Is that what it's called? Like the colored paper? Yeah, I use construction paper, black construction paper for my background. And then I have this, this like metal rose thing that sometimes I'll include in some of my product photos. My boyfriend welded it for me. I don't know, it just adds a little something. Otherwise, I just use natural light. I try to keep the glare out of most of my photos. I just try to use my phone to take the photo. I try to keep everything bright, not overexposed, obviously, no glare. You just use natural light. Try to make the background look clean and nice. That's my advice for product photos. So the 9th step is to publish the listings. Oh my gosh, what? I'm not gonna get too much into that because Etsy does a good job of guiding you through that. If you have questions, feel free to comment down below. I will be completely open to answering. And that means the 10th step is advertising. For me, advertising has been kind of a tough experience because I don't like feeling like I am throwing these things at my followers and subscribers and being like, look at this, buy it from me. But like, that's what advertising is. So I try to get creative with it in terms of like making reels or TikToks about it, using like trending audios and making it fun to watch. Showing the product in use is really important. I think honestly I need to pay more attention to advertising. I still need to practice this step, so take my advice with a grain of salt, but I know that showing the product in action is important because it helps the potential customer picture themselves using your product. Using good lighting, making everything look good quality. Showing yourself in the reel too might help potential customers feel more connected to the creator and feel like they're supporting you as the artist when they are considering purchasing from you. That's pretty much all I have to say for advertising. The 11th step is packing and delivery. So for me, I live in Canada and I don't know about elsewhere in the world, but delivery fees are so expensive. Like it would literally be $20 for one sticker if I was to use actual delivery services. So I just send everything by letter mail. I take into consideration the price of one postage stamp in the price of the sticker on the Etsy listing. So the most expensive that it is to send a sticker is $1.40, I think, to send it to the US for me. So I will include $1.40 in the price of the sticker to ensure that I'm still making profit. I bought some envelopes. I have some protective packaging that I can show. I wrap it in tissue paper just for a little bit extra cushioning and to try to prevent any bending from whoever's transporting it. I have a couple of brand stickers that I use in my packaging, business cards that I will usually handwrite a note. Essentially, just to start a business, you just need to believe in yourself. Just do it, just jump into it, and remember that it's gonna take time for you to find success. I started in January. I didn't start getting sales until May, like actual sales. Like I got like 1 or 2 sales per month in the months following January until May, where I finally got 14 orders, and that jumped up from April where I got 1 order. So just trust in the process, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and remember that whatever you are purchasing for your business, it is an investment, and eventually you will make profit. If you decide to buy a printer, one day in the future, you will have made back the money for that printer. So just keep going, trust yourself. If it's genuinely 3 years later and you're still not doing great, maybe consider like switching something up or doing more research or asking for help. But other than that, if you are just starting, just trust the process and you have got this. If I can do it, you can do it too. So thank you for watching. If you would like to consider supporting me on Etsy, you can definitely check out my shop page. I sell stickers and prints for Baldur's Gate 3, Howl's Moving Castle, Jujutsu Kaisen, Minecraft. I think I have a Zelda sticker as well. Anyways, I'll stop fucking advertising to you guys. I'm sorry. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.